I have a quick question, Rajiv.
Yeah.
What is could you explain a bit about the tax? So there are two questions. One, that let's say we on Jan 1st invest $100,000 with you,
Yeah.
and at the end of the year, and you transfer it to India through the investments by the end of the year, that $100,000, let's say, becomes $150,000. It's
Yeah.
50%. Um, And to simplify, if it's 1 crore becoming 1.5 crores, you said something on the lines of that you pay tax on that gains in India, and then it's credited back to us, or that's the part where it became confusing. For
Okay.
me, for me as a investor, if it's $100,000 that's been invested, there's some returns that was, let's say if it's 50%, then you reduce the taxes in India, then we get the your fees, and after that, then I have to pay taxes in India. So I'm not double taxed here. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's
So
the
let me take a specific example because otherwise it is a little confusing, right? So
yeah.
let's say you deployed $100, right? Or that $100 becomes $120 at the end of it. And let's say we basically realize all of that as gains. Okay. So the realized capital, right? So of those $20, we will pay 10% taxes on it. Let's assume the surcharge and cess is ignored. Okay, so we will pay $2 in taxes to the Indian tax authorities, right? Now, of the $2 that we have paid, those $2, when our accountant, Spicer Jeffries, will do the calculation, they will say that, okay, we have paid $2 in taxes. So effectively, those $2 will be allocated out to all the investors in the fund. Just as the $20 realized capital gains will be allocated out to all the investors in the fund, the $2 that we have paid in taxes will also be allocated out to all the investors in the fund. In this case, if there's only one investor, that particular investor will show in the K1. So an investor gets a K1 at the end of the year, right, from our accountant here. And that will show that you capital gains of $20. And let's say it is long-term, short-term, whatever, doesn't matter, right? So it will in that particular K1 box, it will show you either long-term or short-term realized capital gains. And it will also show that there have been taxes that you have paid of $2. Now, when you will file your taxes in the US, what you will show is that list in K1, which shows what is my capital gains, which is $20, and the taxes that I've already paid on it, which is $2. Okay. And so when you file, whatever will be your tax bracket, because it will calculate your taxes, and it will say that, okay, you have already paid $2, and whatever is the differential is what you will have to pay. But this is something you should check. That is what most investors have in terms of when they file their taxes. But as an investor, you should consult with your CPA for your own specific situation. That is what we find with most investors.
Got it. I think first of all, I think there's somebody on the call who's called from an iPhone. Would you mind just muting yourself? I think there's some static coming from your phone. Thank you. Got it. So I think what you're saying is the investors here do end up paying that 10% in India. I mean, of course, you do it through your tax consultant based in India, paying that tax. And so when I get my K1 at the end, it'll show that started with $100, the capital gains were $20, and then I've already paid $2 in tax, which is 10%. And then based on my tax bracket here, my CPA will have to calculate how much I still end up owing.
Yes.
I see. So this is in a way sort of double taxation to
No, it is actually not. It is the other way. So because what happens is you will calculate. So think of it if you are investing in a US fund, right? What will happen is in the US fund is you will still reflect a K1 of $20, but there will be no taxes paid. Okay.
correct.
So here on the $20, whatever your tax bracket, you will pay the taxes, right? But
Yes.
you won't get any credit. The $2 that we have paid in India is a credit that you get. So you will only pay, suppose the total taxes, you have to pay $6 on $20.
Right.
So here you will pay all $6. But
Right.
if you are invested in the fund, you will pay 6 minus 2. So you will only pay
Got it.
4 because you get a $2 tax credit.
Got it. Oh, I see. Okay, so if my tax bracket is 30%,
Yeah.
I owe $6 on the $20 gain.
Yeah.
Since I've already paid $2 in India,
Yeah.
the CPA would be like, okay, now so you only owe $4. Okay,
That's
this
right.
helps.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then the other question was, are we like for the fund fees and the gains, like the 0.5% of AUM as well as the 20% or 5% hurdle rate, that all makes sense. Is this all calculated quarterly or is this calculated annually?
So the 0.5% is calculated on a monthly basis. So 1/12 of 0.5% is paid upfront at the beginning of the month. And the performance fee of 0.5%, 20/5% is at the end of the year. So it is only the performance fee is only crystallized once a year at the end of
Got it. Which is and that's the end of the calendar year.
the calendar.
Okay, perfect. This makes sense. These are the only two questions I have. Thank you
Sure,
very much.
sure. No, absolutely.